Good morning. Welcome to CareerForce and More for Employers. This is session 4. So glad to have all of you on. This morning, we're going to be talking about leading with inclusion, reaching job seekers who perhaps are people living with disabilities, or reaching the 8% or 9% of our Minnesota population who was born in another country, our new Americans, our immigrants, and hiring, best practices for hiring and retention so that you can really add some vitality to your workforce in a different way. Next. There we go. Thanks. I have someone else running the slides for me today. I'm Liz Jennings, Employer Engagement Specialist. I'm available anytime if you have questions about this series, about CareerForce resources, or anything else getting connected to our Minnesota Works system. Our CareerForce information and assistance line is also available Monday through Friday, 8 to 4:30. You can email them at careerforce@state.mn.us, and they handle questions both on CareerForce and on minnesotaworks.net. So reach out to us anytime. Next. So our agenda today, I've got two guests here. My coworkers, Marcy Jasper, who works for Vocational Rehabilitation Services, a department within DEED. She works as an employment specialist. And Masahula Sahil, goes by Sahil. He is our CareerForce community liaison and works specifically with people who've immigrated here from Afghanistan and other immigrants too that he's been collaborating with. So they'll be talking about their services, and then we're going to go into a little bit more about best practices that they've seen for hiring, recruiting, and retaining. So over to you, Marcy. Oh, wait, I've got two more slides. Forgot about that. This is from the American Community Survey from 2021, one of the most recent numbers. It's found out that 8.5% of Minnesota's population is foreign born. Within that 480,000 people, 37% are from Asia, 27.8, almost 28% are from Africa, and 23% are from Latin America, which includes both Central America, Mexico, and South America. So it's really a vibrant, growing part of our population. On the next slide, you'll see too the people with disabilities. The chart on the very left, LFPR, is labor force participation rate. 33% of people with disabilities of any type are working. That compares to a labor force participation rate of the average person, ages 16 and up, of 75%. That's a huge gap. And we've known people who want to work in some form or another. And so, that's what our vocational rehabilitation services team is all about, to help you figure out, how to best hire people. Next slide. And then the one economic chart book that I really like is from our Minnesota State demographer. This actually is the intersection between people and their country of origin and the disabilities. And it really, really varies, but there's that subset of people who receive both services. Next. So you can find the economic status of Minnesotans on mn.gov/admin/demography, or just do a search on State Demographer Minnesota and it will come up. So now I think let's go over to Marcy Jasper, who's going to tell us a little bit more about really what job seekers are looking for and the disability prevalence in Minnesota.
Thanks, Liz. Good morning, everyone. Like Liz said, I'm Marcy Jasper with Vocational Rehabilitation Services. So just kind of starting out and looking at the disability prevalence here in Minnesota, 25.6% of adults in the US have some sort of disability. And in Minnesota, that equates to 21.7% of adults have some sort of disability. That's the CDC that reports that. We like to note that researchers and data analysts make it clear that it is difficult to capture the total number of people with disabilities, and statistics can really vary depending on the factors. The survey type, how disability is defined, and actually who is being counted. So looking at this at a national level, the 2010 census reported that 1 in 5 Americans now have a diagnosable, or sorry, 1 in 4 have a diagnosable disability. That's the most recent data. There was not a question on the 2020 census regarding disability, so we don't have that updated information, unfortunately. So who is Vocational Rehabilitation Services? So Vocational Rehabilitation Services and State Services for the Blind are sister agencies, and we're agencies within the Department of Employment and Economic Development. We assist businesses in connecting with qualified candidates. Our goal is to understand the business needs, create partnerships, and help them tap into a great source of talent. We also provide consultation, information, excuse me, data and resources to employers that might help in making decisions about recruiting, hiring, and promoting employees with disabilities. We're voluntary programs, so people come to our agencies because they want to work. The individuals we serve range from students in high school seeking entry-level work to skilled, experienced professionals with advanced degrees. VRS assist individuals with all types of disabilities, including deaf and hard of hearing, whereas State Services for the Blind, they specialize in assisting people who are blind or have low vision, and they help them prepare for, find, and retain employment. Employers will sometimes ask us, what types of occupations and industries, do our candidates find employment in? Well, here's some of the top occupations for VRS and SSB applicants. And as you can see, it's pretty similar to the general population. We're an individualized services, so really we meet people where they're at and find out where their skill sets are, and then help them find employment in that industry. Helping businesses recruit qualified candidates is one of the primary ways that we partner with businesses. We also work with employers to set up tours, informational interviews, and job shadows so individuals can learn more about your business and different career fields. VRS and SSB offer paid on-the-job work opportunities such as job tryouts, on-the-job training, and internships so individuals can try a position or obtain on-the-job skills. We also consult with you about your current employees with disabilities and ways to keep them retained within your organization. We work extensively with youth in high school and transition programs to assist with career exploration and paid work experiences. We have services that are available throughout Minnesota. So if you go on to CareerForceMN.com under Disability Resources, you will find a wealth of information under there, such as when you open this first page, it talks about the benefits of hiring someone with a disability, how to get help hiring, workplace accommodations, and more. And then if you go down even a little further on that, it talks about how to connect with an employment specialist within your area if you need assistance in hiring. There's also resources under employer responsibilities, such as creating a welcoming workplaces for people with disabilities. Has information on disability discrimination and reasonable accommodation. Many employers, when you hear that word reasonable accommodation, get a little worried, but here's a whole bunch of information on helping you provide reasonable accommodations to an employer job applicant with a disability. It also goes into the Job Accommodation Network, which I'll go over briefly here a little bit later, but it's a national resource for employers that provides support and information about employing with people with disabilities and has a wealth of information on that. I will give you a little bit more information in a little bit. One of the really great resources on CareerForce here is our disability inclusion bite-sized learning modules. Vocational rehab services, state services for the blind, and some of our business partners actually got together and made these little bite-sized learning modules. There's 5 modules, anywhere from 15 minutes to 30 minutes long, for employers to use at their team meetings, or over a lunch and learn. They can do it one of 2 ways. They can either just go on here and get the information and watch the videos at their team meetings, or they can actually have one of us come out and present it. The modules that we have right now available are Defining Disabilities, the Americans with Disabilities Act, Recognizing and Implementing a Request for Reasonable Accommodations, Self-ID, Building a More Inclusive Culture, Inclusive Communication, and Mental Health Matters. Let's talk. Under each module, it has the video, it has the PowerPoint presentation, and then it also has a takeaway card for a little, something little for you and your team to do or discuss. One thing that's new to us is the Employer Reasonable Accommodation Fund. This is a really fabulous resources for small to mid-sized businesses. The new fund reimburses for costs of reasonable accommodations Minnesota job seekers with disabilities have. Many small and mid-sized businesses really worry about the cost of providing reasonable accommodations. Now, through the Department of Employment and Economic Development's Employer Reasonable Accommodation Fund, or ERAF as they call it, small to mid-sized Minnesota's employers can request reimbursement for expenses related to providing reasonable accommodations for job applicants and employees with disabilities. It's simple, it's easy, and it connects great workers with great businesses like yours. So please feel free to visit the website or contact the ERAF staff by phone or email, and they can walk you through the kind of accommodations covered by the fund, the process, or any other assistance you may need. Here's just some more on CareerForce, some more disability hiring resources. These are typically for job seekers, talking about their rights and informed choice. Explore resources for youth with disabilities. If you are a parent of a youth with a disability, here's some great information. Lastly, here is, again, the bite-sized learning. So these are just a chunk of disability-related resources that I'd like to give you. The first one is the bite-sized learning I just talked about. Then we have ADA Minnesota, which has a lot of information for people with disabilities. And then we have DEED State Services for the Blind, and then also Vocational Rehab Services. Our information is on there. The STAR program, which is System of Technology to Achieve Results. And that program actually allows you to rent out assistive technology to try for your employees. And then lastly, the Job Accommodation Network that I had mentioned. AskJan.org is a wealth of knowledge within their website that has a lot of information on accommodations for certain disabilities, has a lot of videos, toolkits. So I highly urge you to go to AskJan.org and do a little research. So at this point, I will turn it over to Sahil.
Good morning, everyone. My name is Masihullah Sahil. I'm a community liaison working with the immigrant communities in Minnesota, especially with Afghan communities who we have around between 17 to 2,000 individuals who have been live in the country, especially in Minnesota. My job is not only limited to work with Afghan community, but overall with the immigrant communities to place them in the job market. We will be discussing some of the challenges and some of the success that we have throughout last 2 years that we have been working with these new communities in next couple of slides. So So some barrier and success for hiring and retention, create supports for these job seekers, and for those one who like some tips that we are going to give how to retain them. Most of the challenges that we are going to discuss in next couple of slides.
So let me say, about every single one of these slides coming up, Marcy and Sahil wrote them together, acknowledging that many of the same barriers are the same and many of the successes can be similar for each set of job seekers. So we're just going to run it kind of like on a panel format, read through it and give more context. So, we start off, and we've heard a lot about this with job descriptions, especially with the governor's recent action on making state job descriptions where the bachelor's degree is not always required. So, we start off by saying be clear about skills necessary, about the educational level. And on the job description, are some skills like a driver's license or lifting 50 pounds really necessary? My daughter worked a administrative job and it did say that. It said must lift 50 pounds, but it turns out they just needed to be able to lift boxes of receipts, and the women could do that together. Marcy and Sahil, what else have you seen on job descriptions?
Yeah, so as you stated, when we see and show to the job seeker about, just say for example 50 pounds of lifting, especially for the women, they say, oh no, I can't do that, because and it mostly the jobs, it's not described how often they will be lifting those 50 pounds. It's just like in case, or it's just on regular basis, or it's something like they have to do from morning to evening, all their shift. Just say for example, sometimes they say they have to be available to stand for 8 hours. So those are like those are something, especially with the people they are age, or the people for women, it's kind of like challenges, because they don't know, we don't know if they have to be standing like all day long, or if something, they have to be standing like once in a while. So some of those things, they are not pretty described in the job applications descriptions. So those are so especially when it comes to like the age people who are looking for job, or especially they have like people with disability, or people women, they are kind of like getting nervous. Okay, if I will be going to lift all these weight all day long or something.
Yeah,
So,
Marcy, what else can you add?
Yeah, I was just going to add, I mean, it's on here, but the driver's license has always been a big thing. I think that is almost discriminates people. And not only people, with disabilities, but just simply people that don't want to get their driver's license. Maybe they live in the city and they like using public transportation, and, it just cuts out a whole slew of people when it comes to that. So really dig into your job descriptions and take a look at them and see if you're really, if they really match what the job is, and making sure you're not discriminating against any different group.
well, language barrier is one of the biggest that we are facing, especially when it's coming to immigrants. Like just say we're all, the process of the applications, and that's like 99% is in English. So when it's coming to immigrant communities, it's a very challenge, especially for the communities they are pretty new here. They don't know even the online application process, even if they know the assessment test, and they are, I have been with a couple of many of individuals who are doing assessment tests, and they are so complicated. I mean, a lot of those questions, they are really, professional. Those questions, for example, if you have not worked in that industry for, for 6 months or 1 year, you're not gonna be able to answer those questions. So some of those questions, I think, is need to be addressed like during the onboarding process, in the training process, instead of being like an assessment test. For example, like when we do assessment test for a retail chain. They're asking about question about their aisles or where you find this product. Obviously, if you have not worked in that industry and that retail, the job seeker is not going to know exactly where is that item, how to locate that item, how to basically the code that is working. So those are, in assessment test, like for job seeker, if they are completely new, they don't know. So that's one of the biggest barrier when it's coming to the assessment test, and then interviewing, especially when it's coming to technologies, they don't know. So we are encouraging the employers to have like face-to-face interview, or even like to have during the interview have like an interpreter or translator who can help with the process. So sometimes we complete the assessment test, but in the interview they're not able to basically explain things as they should, and they're not able to pass the interviews. So that's one of the biggest challenge that I have seen personally when coming to the online application assessment test and interviewing process. So we can work even to make it a little bit easier and accessible to the new immigrants.
Yep, and I'm just going to jump in to copy kind of what Sahil said. Those assessment tests, especially for people with disabilities, are very challenging. Actually, people without disabilities. Back in the day, I took the Walmart one, didn't pass, and I know I'd be a great employee, so that was a bummer. But those can be very challenging, especially, for example, candidates that see black and white. Those questions are always pretty gray. It can be very challenging, and you just sometimes, I think, missing out on some really good employees by cutting them out at the assessment tests. Just some information on job fairs, translating flyers, bringing bilingual, including some ASL staff to events to, again, make sure you're being very inclusive. Really patience and listening and responding. Some of our candidates, whether it be candidates with disabilities or new immigrants, sometimes just, need some time to process some of that information. And sometimes that may seem like they're not listening or they don't care. Just have patience in listening and giving them time to respond. Bring in a laptop to allow job seekers to apply right away. And then if they need some assistance, you can be there for that. Making sure that being the right company for the right job fair. So if you are at a job fair in Minneapolis, that the applicants that are going to be coming to the job fair are probably from around the Minneapolis area. So making sure they can get there. And then just putting, is your company hiring on a regular basis? Or are they only needing a limited number of people? Community networks are strong and word will go around quickly. So if you need 5 people right now and you have your 5 people, but people keep coming in, just kind of giving people the heads up on that.
If I can add a little bit to that, I've seen really a change in job fairs in the past 2 to 3 years. People who attend job fairs just want to apply right then and there. They have a conversation with you. They don't want to be told, go home and apply online. No, the reason why they've come to the job fair is to get a little bit more information. If they like what they hear, they want to apply immediately. So consider that. Take advantage of that opportunity. Like the sentence here, it says, bring your laptop. Bring those applications, that online application and help them apply immediately. And that then shortens your hiring time for your hiring cycle too. Thanks.
So one thing I would like to add with that one, especially even in mention in the slide, the words goes in the community around pretty quickly, and sometimes we talk to them, we go to job fair, or either we talk to a company. The company say, yeah, we will work with you, we will hire the immigrants. We reach out to the community, and then when the community get back to us and say, hey, we like the job and we wanna go for the job, we reach out to the employers again, say, oh, we don't need it anymore. So just like if we are clear about, if you are as Mercy was explaining, if you guys are hiring on regular basis, because when or just like for a short period of time, or like seasonal, that will give us like, a sense, so we can, when we reaching out to the community, so we can explain better, hey, this is a temporary job, or this company is just hiring for next 2 3 weeks or 1 month. So that's one of the challenge that we have seen, and this kind of like looking down on our side, because when we reach out to community and the community want that job, and now we can help them to get to that job. So that will help if we understand, for as the company is hiring on a regular basis. And another challenge that I have seen, we have brought many community members to the job fair. They have talked to the company, the employers, and they were willing to work with the company, but then where you located, and they are located way far out from where the job fair is. So then coming the transportation issues, and all those. So one of those things that we are suggesting, just to have right employer in the right place. So it will be less confusing for the community. Okay, where are the employers are coming from? So when we reaching out to the community, so they know if the job fair is in Minneapolis, so they know, okay, all the employers that are coming to the job fair is coming from around the Twin Cities.
Thanks, Sahil. With the hiring process, the one thing I have to say on this side is that the phone screens really can be challenging for folks with disabilities. So maybe giving an option, would you like a phone screen, or to actually come in for just even an initial interview? I know not all companies are able to do that, but that option would be really nice for some, because phone screens can be tough. Sahil, do you want to add anything on this slide?
So, the one thing, the assessment test, again, it's basically just one fit for all, and a lot of time it doesn't work. It doesn't work for the job seeker. So it just one assist, for example, as you mentioned, Mercy, the Walmart one. If you want to go to the Walmart, work there, it's just like one specific test that you have to give, the assessment test. So a lot of time it's not, if you are just like a general laborer, you have to go through the same test. If you are applying as a manager, you have to go through the same test. So I mean, some of those tests are not really suitable for the job seeker. So I mean, if there's some kind of differentiate for the level up, they are applying, or for the position they're applying, that will make much easier for the job seeker, so they can go for the exact assessment test, instead of like going for the assessment tests they are not really relevant to their skills.
Thanks. We're just about out of time, so we're going to wrap up these two quickly. We've heard about the transportation issue in the state for quite a while, but do you have reliable transportation on your jobs description? Consider that. Are there carpools in your company that you can create? Can you offer like a rebate or a discount or some reimbursement to the people who drive? If you are located on a bus line, make sure that information is on your flyers, you're on your materials, or on your website. That really can make a difference. And then in promoting the work culture, do you have fantastic employees who are bilingual? Can you promote them to a supervisor role? Could they act as a cultural liaison? Or, Marcy, why don't you just say a minute, something about a job coach, what job coaches do?
Yeah, having a job coach come in and assist people with disabilities if they need just a little extra training. You can have a job coach come in at no cost to your business, or if you want to hire one. So if you are hiring, people with disabilities on a regular basis that are needing a little bit extra assistance, that they can be kind of that, we call kind of an extra trainer. So it's just somebody that can help these individuals learn sometimes in a different way.
Great. Thanks. And all of this is really boils down to developing a culture of helping each other out. That you're all working as a team. And I know I hear from so many of you that you really have fantastic teams on the floor in your office. So keep up all of that good work. I've put all of the links that we've been referring to today, meeting your regional team. We've got staff like Marcy and other employer services staff all across the state and all of the regions. And I also put in some guides on what employers can do now. I put the link to the PDF there. So contact us anytime. We'd love to help. As you know, reminder, all of the state of Minnesota's resources and people time are no cost to you. So you can engage us on a phone call or in person, and we can advise some good directions to go. So thank you to Sahil. Thank you to Marcy for being on the call today, and take care. See you in 2 weeks. No session next week because of the holiday, and then we'll resume on November 30th. So thank you. Bye-bye.
Thank you. Thank you all.